Good afternoon, Robert Scribbler. It is June 18th, 2018. Now today I'm going to talk a bit about a very difficult subject. I'm going to talk about climate change, the refugee crisis, and our potential responses. But before we do, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we know and what we don't know about this little girl. What we know is that this little girl and her parents fled a world that includes worsening storms, that includes dire conflict, that includes human traffickers and gangs of drug dealers who are willing to exploit the vulnerable and the weak. She fled a world in which sexual exploitation and sexual worker and enslavement trafficking is on the rise, and in which heinous exploitation of impoverished, weak persons occurs on a daily basis. This little girl and her family came to this country in the hopes of a better life. And now this little girl is being held at a detention center, likely in a cage, like one of these. Separated from her parents, cruelly exploited by a president who sees them as little more than political bargaining chips or as means to inflame the fears and hatreds of his increasingly hard-hearted Republican base. That is the world that we live in today. I'm going to read you this segment of a report from the Washington Post. They divided the young children who had been separated from their parents, placing 20 or more in a concrete floor cage and providing foil blankets, thin mattresses, bottled water, and food. The migrant children, some confused or expressionless, watched as uniformed officials led reporters on a brief tour Sunday of a processing center and temporary detention facility there. Some 1,100 undocumented individuals were being held, including nearly 200 unaccompanied minors. So this migration that we are seeing at the southern border at present is not historic. We have seen larger migrations in the past due to famines and wars into the United States. But what is the truth is that the United States is one of the top destinations for those seeking asylum and safe haven in the world. And one of the reasons for this is that we have held ourselves up as a beacon of hope and liberty in the world, and as a safe haven for those who are fleeing oppression and harm and all of the terrors of the world itself. On the Statue of Liberty, it says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This is one of our great virtues. This is one of the things that makes this country a good place. And yet, even now, despite the fact that what we are facing is mild compared to what we will face in the future, some of us are seeking to use the hardship of others to enrich themselves, to empower themselves. Others are turning away. They aren't able to face for fear or for revulsion or for a sense of their own weakness, the plight of others. And some of us are doing all that we can politically and socially and as individuals to help. Which one are you? Because I've got to say that the world is going to see a lot more people seeking safe haven. A lot more people seeking a safe place, a place of welcome and comfort. And we have to ask ourselves, will that place be the United States? So presently, human-forced climate change is a significant cause of increasingly more violent extreme weather events. And it is a trigger for conflict. And if you look at the statistics globally as to primary causes of displacement and what forces individuals to seek asylum and assistance and help because they've lost their homes, or they've lost safety, or they are being exploited by powerful individuals who have them at a disadvantage, then you'll find that there are tens of millions of people every year that are forced from their homes and that become vulnerable due to loss of shelter and loss of support. Now, this number is unfortunately likely to increase as storms worsen and as impacts from climate change result in a number of additional harms. And one of the primary drivers of potential future crisis is global sea level rise. Now, there have been a number of studies during recent years identifying anywhere between 100 and 40 million potential refugees due to sea level rise, and possibly as much as 2 billion by 2100. Now, this set of circumstances alone is unprecedented from the standpoint of history. 2 billion potential refugees by 2100 would represent 1/5 of the entire projected world population at that time. Now, if you think about it, just think about anyone that you know that lives near the coast, family members, friends. And we begin to understand that this crisis is not one that just affects people in other lands, but people in our own land. And so maybe we should think a little bit about how we decide to treat others, about the way we respond. Will we turn our eyes away because this is too hard to deal with? Will we enable those who exploit others and seek to harm others for their own profit? Or will we do something as a nation? Will we try to reduce the number of people who will lose their homes by turning to renewable energy? And will we act in a charitable manner to those who are displaced? Whether we like it or not, this is the challenge of our day.